much for being here with us. We so appreciate you. Getting us hype and ready to go. Skip Bayless, he's always ready. And Stephen A. Smith.
How are you?
What's going on?
I got to tell you, I got no chance against that ensemble you're wearing today. That is sharp. It is going to blow me off my chair the rest of the day.
Gosh.
I got no shot.
Setting you up.
It's a big setup.
Well, listen, I do appreciate it, but I don't get caught up in that because when it comes to the wardrobe, I think I got it every day. It's just me. It's just me.
Well then.
But I do appreciate the compliment, and you look pretty dapper yourself.
I look all right.
You guys are so cute.
And by the way, I stayed yesterday and spoke to a bunch of people here who had driven from all over California and are now all over the West Coast. Thank you all for coming out here so early. Thank you.
You know, we had someone come all the way from Australia as well, so we're worldwide, just like Stephen A's radio show, right?
Well, I think I'm worldwide, not my radio show, but that's just me.
Okay, worldwide, Stephen A. Smith. Guess who else is here? He's certainly worldwide. Prime time in the house. Deion Sanders will be with us for a full hour. Right? You know I'm a big fan. I can't wait for that.
I'm not sure he's ready for this prime time.
Oh, he's ready.
Though. Is he?
He's ready.
Okay.
Prime time.
I think he can hang with you, too.
Well,
I think he's someone that can actually hang, Skip.
He's a bad man, but I would agree with Skip. He does have something to prove. He's really great after hours. What do you do during the hour?
Yes.
Deion,
daylight hours.
I believe in you, and we know you got to believe in yourself first, right? All right, gentlemen, let's get into it. The reason why we traveled cross country. Super Bowl 50. So Sunday, Cam Newton will be looking for his first Lombardi trophy. Peyton will be making his 4th trip to the Super Bowl and trying to get a 2nd ring. Stephen A., Super Bowl 50 from Santa Clara. Who you got?
I got the Carolina Panthers winning the Super Bowl. Listen, I want to say this. I don't expect it to be a 43-8 drubbing at the hand like they suffered at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks 2 years ago. I'm talking about the Denver Broncos. But I do think about that game as it pertains to this one because I think the similarities between the Legion of Boom 2 years ago and what we're seeing from the Carolina Panthers this year are somewhat similar. Not entirely, but the similarities are there. I think that Carolina has a stout defense, 6th overall. I think they've got an elite front 7. I think they can get at a quarterback, particularly a stationary one like Peyton Manning. I think the fact that you've got a guy like Owen Daniels playing as your tight end who's played well, but Vernon Davis, who hasn't had a reception in the last 4 games for crying out loud. I think the fact that you got Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas.
Wait, he left his hands in San Francisco.
He left his hands in San Francisco.
Yeah, okay.
Not as hard, his hands. Vernon Davis left his hands in San Francisco. Yes, I've said that on many occasions. But I think that in order for you to beat the Carolina Panthers, it's going to have to be a combo assault. You're not just going to require C.J. Anderson and Ronnie Hillman, both averaging over 4 yards a carry this season, capable runners, but very relatively inconsistent because of their troubles at the offensive line. Not only do they have to run the football effectively, but that's going to utilize them using play action, which will allow Peyton Manning to throw pretty much outside the numbers between Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. I think the combination of those two things happening against this Carolina defense are slim. Now, obviously, you've got Denver's defense who's capable of causing just as much trouble for the Carolina Panthers. I get that. And when you look at Jonathan Stewart, even though he's big time, I think the brother could play. He's no Le'Veon Bell or somebody like that. He's a pretty damn good runner, but I wouldn't call him elite. The Cam Newton obviously buffers that running game to a significant degree. Denver's going to send Von Miller after him. He's going to be all over the place. DeMarcus Ware, Malik Jackson, Derek Wolfe. These boys are no joke. And this secondary in Denver is no joke. So obviously their defense, 4th overall, number 1 in yards allowed, number 1 against the pass, number 3 against the rush. They can't be diminished. But in the end, that speaks to a tight game, which I understand because the experience comes into play, and it comes in, you know, you just assume it's going to be somewhat of a defensive battle. But in the end, it's going to come down to what are you going to do with Cam Newton? Does any of us see the guy that we've been watching all season long get completely neutralized and stopped on the biggest stage, which is where he has customarily shined? I don't see that happening. Somehow, some way. First of all, I don't think it'll be, I don't think it'll be that much of a defensive battle. I think, Carolina will have a lead somewhere along the lines of like 24-21, and then they'll score a touchdown later on. I see the final score being 31-21. Carolina wins by 10 games.
Wow.
They captured Super Bowl 50.
Right.
Cam Newton captures his first Super Bowl
Let's
championship.
put it on the board. You have someone to put it on the board for you?
Yes. That's right. Listen. Who's this says put it on the board for me? I wrote it down here. Is it
Michael?
Is this Michael? Is this Michael?
Yeah.
Michael,
There you
take
go.
care of business
Put it
for
up
us.
there for me, please.
Yep.
By the
Right,
way,
Panther. Look at that headshot.
I apologize.
That's a beauty.
I apologize to my producers. I messed all of that up. He was supposed to do
all
that
right.
before I did.
You're all good.
So I
Don't
messed
worry.
up, y'all.
I'm not going to mess my pick up. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to give you any pump fakes or any sleight of hand. I want Adriana from Seattle, who drove all night to be here, to get in position to put my pick up for me, and she is decked out boldly and beautifully in my Spurs colors. Look at that. Oh, shut up, all of you. Yeah, way to go, Adriana. Put it on the board for me. I want Carolina.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Spurs, America's team.
And by the way, Molly is going to attest to this for me. What score did I write right there? Can you see that?
31-20.
He went 31-21. I got 31-20. So forgive me, I'm off by a point from your score. And here's why that I feel so confident about this. I've told you guys all along, this is the year of Cam. And also, this is the year of the Carolina Panthers getting on a classic late season Super Bowl roll, unlike many I've ever seen. It's Chicago. We saw the Chicago Bears last night, 30 for 30, the 85 Bears. This is akin to that kind of Super Bowl roll where you are virtually invincible at the right place at the right time. They are going to roll, I think, fairly easily over the Denver Broncos. I think Peyton Manning will play pretty well. I think he'll play about as well as he can at this stage and age of his game. I think he's going to put up 20 points, and you'll sit back and say, you know what? The old man, he gave a good account of himself. But I don't think Peyton at his greatest, in his prime, could beat this team on this stage at this moment. I don't even think it'll be close at 31-20. I think maybe Peyton will score a late touchdown to get from 31-13 up to 31-20. So I'm not with your 24-21 close game. I don't see a close game, and here's why. I believe that Cam and company are as bad a matchup for this Denver defense as Brady and company were the perfect matchup for this Denver defense. What did I tell you sitting in this, not exactly the same chair, but in this seat ahead of New England at Denver in the AFC title game? What did I tell you? That if I hadn't picked New England back in August to win the Super Bowl, I would have picked Denver to win that game because it was such a great matchup for this Denver defense against, can I remind you, a Tom Brady with zero running game to keep the pass rush honest. Am I right about that? Did I not say that?
You did say that.
And
you're
did I
right
not
about
say
it,
that
but
Tom Brady was quote-unquote protected by a battered patchwork offensive line? Did I not say that?
Because the Golden Boy obviously had a lot to deal with. Your guy, Tom Brady, I mean, my goodness.
Thank you.
What he had to deal with is just such a shame. Go ahead.
And obviously, my guy, Tom Brady, is immobile in the pocket. I mean, he can dance a little bit, as you say. Sometimes
He can tap dance. He can tap dance.
But again, let's just say this. He ain't no mobile Cam Newton, right?
Right.
So my point was that combination was going to be big trouble for my New England Patriots. And all of a sudden, we had the two best edge rushers in pro football, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. On your mark, get set, go. The crowd was so loud they couldn't hear the snap count, so they were just snapping it on rhythm, and they're like, ready, set, go. Race to the quarterback, knock him down. Tom Brady went down 20 times. He got knocked down 20 times in that game, which was the highest number of knockdowns for any quarterback in any game this year, by any defense.
Right.
Well, that's staggering to me. And yet, despite all that, I must throw this in, my guy Tom Brady almost pulled the game out. He came within a 2-point conversion of pulling the game out against all those odds.
I'm so touched.
Okay, well, I had to make that point.
Go ahead.
Okay, now, that was 20-18. Cam Newton is a very, very different beast, as is this Carolina run game that will keep those two pass rushers completely honest. In fact, this Carolina run game is so devastating that the pass rushers, to me, are swivel-headed the whole game. They're on skates because they don't know what's coming next. Cam Newton obviously runs the read option, which makes the pass rushers say, uh-oh, can I go or can I stay? Should I guard the edge or not? Is he going to keep the ball or not? They run that jet sweep motion constantly throughout the game with Ted Ginn Jr., who I say is as fast as anyone wearing pads right now. Again, he'll drop some deep balls, but if you ever hand it to him on the jet sweep, look out below because he can get loose as fast as anybody. So they keep running that action, and the ends are like, uh-oh, can we rush or not? And if they do rush, and they do get within range of Cam Newton, you know and I know, you slow down, you get a little tentative because he's bigger than both of those defensive ends, and clearly he's mobile enough to make both of them miss. Bad matchup for the Denver Broncos. They're not big enough, they're not physical enough, and those two safeties did not finish the game against my New England Patriots. Am I right? TJ Ward and Darian Stewart didn't finish the game. They're not right. I know they have 2 weeks to get ready. They will not be 100%, which means Mr. Greg Olsen, just watch. He will get open in this game, and he will catch passes for big gains from one Cam Newton, who will be the MVP of this game.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I think Greg Olsen was going to catch passes no matter what, number one. Number two, while you keep bringing up Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, who are not in the Super Bowl, by the way.
I almost picked him anyway. I was going to pick him today.
Let me bring up another team for you, for your edification. Remember that team called the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I recall. I'm sorry, I don't.
Allow me to remind you, and why you should be reminded, because that Denver Broncos team with Brock Osweiler as the quarterback that lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers 34-27 was up, if I remember correctly, something along the lines of like 27-10 or something along those lines. What I'm saying to you is that last time I checked during that game, they did have Big Ben Roethlisberger, who dare I say, to some degree, is a better version than Cam Newton, at least at this juncture. We're talking about Big Ben here.
But can he run the read option? Can he run the read option?
No. Listen to me. Listen to me. But he does extend plays, scrambling out of the pocket, shrugging off
he can defenders. Do that.
He can do that. So even though he's not Cam as it pertains to the read option or literally having running plays called for him, he is a better version of Cam in terms of extending plays and actually throwing the football. So let's look at it from that perspective. Then you talk about Ted Ginn Jr., Funches, Greg Olsen. Well, I'm sorry. What about Antonio Brown and Wheaton and Bryant and Shula? What about D'Angelo Williams coming out of the backfield at that particular moment in time? I'm saying to you that the abundance of weapons that the Pittsburgh Steelers have at their disposal was problematic in the end for Denver, but for a half, Denver came in there and was doing their thing. I only bring that up to say they did that with Brock Osweiler. They did that without a genius at the quarterback position because Brock Osweiler is not that. He just has a stronger arm. They did that, and really that defense is not something to be ignored. Now, that was the game where Chris Harris Jr. got eaten alive. I mean, what happened to him? I mean, Antonio Brown should be arrested for the beatdown he put on Chris Harris Jr.
Does he not do that to almost everybody who attempts to cover him?
No. I like Chris Harris. I'm not disrespecting
No, I'm talking about Antonio.
I know that. What I'm saying is I like Chris Harris. I respect him. But I'm just making that point to you to make nobody on Carolina is Antonio Brown. And so my point is that if you have the weapons that the Steelers have at their disposal, what you had that particular game, I think that Antonio Brown had like 16, 17 receptions for nearly 200 yards. I'm saying to you, I anticipate that's not going to be something that's going to happen to, in this game to Denver. So because of that, I'm anticipating that Carolina won't be able to do offensively what Pittsburgh did. That doesn't mean it won't be enough. Doesn't mean they won't get their points eventually. I'm just making the point to you that I think it's going to be more competitive than you're willing to concede because Denver's defense is a unit I believe can make things very, very interesting in this game. I don't believe that Denver's offense is going to make that much noise. I don't believe that Peyton Manning is going to have a great game. I don't believe against that defense defense, they're going to be able to do what you would hope they could do. This is not Denver's offense from 2 years ago when they got annihilated by Seattle. They were a prolific offense at that point. That's not the case here. But I do think this defense deserves our respect to the point where we have to look at them and say, they can make things very, very interesting because they could keep Denver in the game at least until late.
But you're not switching your pick
Not
to
at all.
Broncos.
I'm just saying that you and I disagree. You thought it was going to be comfortable and Denver would score late to make the score look reasonable. I'm saying it would be closer till the end where Carolina pulled away.
Okay, and I think that we have seen Cam Newton through Super Bowl week be as supremely confident, especially a first-time Super Bowl quarterback, as I can ever remember. And I think he knows that I'm right about this. I think that he's looking at the film saying, we got this.
I think Cam Newton has been pretty preoccupied with the media because they're asking him ridiculous, stupid questions on media day, and it's gotten on his nerves. So I don't think we've been able to tell how comfortable he's been because he's not uncomfortable. He's preoccupied with having to, honor media availability requirements and stuff like that. That's all. He's never been worried about the game. He doesn't get worried about games.
Especially this game.
You know who else has been really comfortable? Peyton Manning, more relaxed than ever. And I appreciate you bringing up the Patriots and Steelers for me because, guys, is Peyton going to be able to manage the game? Is he not going to turn the ball over?
Are you doing this? Are you going where I think you're going?
Is he going to be able to find weaknesses in that defense and put points on that board? Do they have the #1 ranked defense? Is this the year of Cam or is this the year of the fairy tale ending for Peyton Manning?
Don't talk to them.
Please, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, courage of my conviction. Skip Bayless.
I do agree with my man Skip here, Molly, when he said, "What you looking at everybody else for?" I mean, we're here. You don't get to ignore us, Miss Connecticut.
Really?
We're right
I just heard your cases, so I was already done with you. So I was moving on, seeing if anyone else wanted to pile on.
Are you going out on this limb?
Where's my girl, Crystal? Crystal, where are you? Working the red lipstick like me. Can we please put it on the board? Right there. There we go. Peyton riding off with that white horse. All right. Stephen A. Skip, say Carolina. I'm going with Denver. They're giving me a side eye. Guess what?
You know what?
Not concerned.
Molly, I promise not to shame you on Monday's show.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart.
I won't say a word about
Okay,
you.
I
You can
appreciate
promise
it.
that that's Monday's show. How about right now? Why don't you just admit that it's all emotion because you want Peyton to have the fairy tale ending? Ain't that true, Molly? Miss Connecticut, is that not true?
There's a little heart in the pick. There's a little heart in the pick. And it has nothing to do with Cam or the Panthers, just a little heart.
Okay.
Hey, anything can happen on any given Sunday, #1 defense.
That's true.
All right?
That is
We saw what they
gutsy,
did to your
though.
teams.
Yeah, Al Pacino told us, remember.
All right,
Any
all
given
right.
Sunday, we know.
Okay, now we know their predictions, guys. Join SportsCenter's Twitter vote. We want to hear from you. If you're rolling with the Panthers or riding with the Broncos, the vote will go all day. The results will be revealed later in the show, 6 p.m. SportsCenter. All right. Now,